Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is Academy Review. Joining me, as always, is Finn, Mr. Academy Scoop on all your socials. Finn, how we doing, bro?
Very good, thank you, yeah. Another interesting week. Got a few mixed results today, but excited to get into it.
I've just noticed there you're wearing double denim. And you're like Joe Smith, you can carry it off. I'm very impressed.
Really?
There's not many people in life that can carry off double denim.
Well, last week, me and Joe
Finn
had a
can.
little wardrobe error. We both came in a stripy long sleeve, and obviously he had to wear the jacket to cover it up.
This is why I'm back on, you see.
Yeah.
We can't be having any more
There's
of
no
these
risk of
wardrobe catastrophes. Enough of this nonsense. Let's get on with the football. Usually, Finn, you come on here after United have lost, the first team have lost, and you cheer me up with some tasty under-21 wins and all the rest of it. A little bit of role reversal, slightly, this time round.
We don't even need to this time round.
Well, you don't need to, because Manchester United had an epic win over the mighty Sunderland.
Should we just bin it off?
Yeah, shall we? The under-21s had a couple of games since I last spoke to you.
Yeah.
I think the first one was in the EFL trophy against Lincoln, how was it and what happened?
Yeah, going all the way back to last Thursday. It was obviously not the result that United would have hoped for overall. I really like when United play in these competitions against senior opposition. I think it's a really good experience for the under-21s. These young players kind of understanding the physicality and the experience that comes with playing against that kind of level of opposition. And it's difficult, but you come away with a lot of lessons learnt. This time round, I'll just lay the game out. The first half was fairly even, fairly competitive. United had a few chances of their own, mainly through Scanlon, Lacey and Jack Fletcher's, who was probably the best chance of the game. Yeah. He had an effort cleared off the line, but in the second half, Lincoln's kind of experience and physicality shone through a little bit, and they were able to win it 3-0. So we won't dwell on the actual result too much, but I do think there were quite a few individual performances that are definitely worth noting, especially in relation to the first team, because that's always going to be the kind of goal, especially for these under-21s. You know, they're going to be wanting to push onto the verges of the first team and hopefully get minutes. That's what this is all about.
100%.
So I'll start with Chido Obi, because you know, people have been asking a lot of questions about him, asking, you know, where's he at in his development, what's going on, because obviously we know how high the expectations are and have been around him. Last season getting minutes in the first team, and it feels like maybe this season he's taken a step back. I don't really see it that way. I think he's just developing different aspects of his game, and I don't think it's an issue that he's not getting minutes. We know how well Sesko's doing as of late, which is a real positive. So that striker situation I think is fine at the moment. Obviously didn't get on the score sheet, but I think there are areas of his game, mainly on the ball, that I see really kind of coming on leaps and bounds. He looks a lot more kind of technically secure than he did last season. Comparisons to Isak have always been kind of pushed with him, and they're feeling a little bit more apt, because he's dribbling better, he's able to kind of shift his body and weight more efficiently. There were a few times where he pulled off nice kind of lacroquetas and beat his man, and he's also able to play quite wide, almost as a winger at times, so really positive to see that, and I think he's developing really nicely, which is good to see.
Yeah, because there's a lot of expectation with Chido. That's been since he arrived, because of all the fanfare, because of the meltdown that the Arsenal fans had. Also, he got into the first team quite quickly, didn't he?
Yeah, almost a bit premature.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a good shout, and played a lot of minutes last season. Obviously didn't get his goal, but had some good moments. I think in a United shirt, safe to say. So I understand why it might on the surface look like he's taking a step backwards, but not to be overly cliche riddled, but sometimes you have to go back to go forward, don't you? And I think this is what's happening with. We don't want to see this lad being sort of pushed too quickly, and also at the minute we've got a sort of decent option in Benjamin Sesko for the first team. So good to see Chido, despite not doing well and doing the things that he's obviously good at, and forget how young he is, especially for a striker. Strikers at Manchester United don't usually get into the first team when they're 17 anyway.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, even to be playing well at under 21 level as a 17-year-old, it's still really impressive. Yeah. I think also strikers of his build, the kind of taller, lankier type, tend to develop late anyway. Yeah. So I really not worried about his kind of development trajectory. His coaches always rave about his work ethic and his talent, both at United and with Denmark's youth sides. So really feel still encouraged about his situation. The next one I'd go on to, probably my standout performer, Bendito Mantao. We've spoken a little bit this season about how he's played more at left back, and he played again at left back this game, despite him being typically more of a natural right winger. And we've seen him play there also for England's youth sides. That tends to be where he's played when he's with the youth setup for England. And honestly, I think he looks like a natural in that position.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know what he can do on the wing. He can be such a direct threat, kind of two-way dribbler, can take it on the outside and cross it back from the byline, or he can cut in, provide goal threat, got a good finish on him, can really, really cause some threat. But playing in almost the opposite position at left back, he still adds so much value to the team. And what impresses me the most is he seems to have the kind of temperament for it, which impresses me from like a game understanding point of view in terms of knowing where to be, where to position himself. He can provide value, on the overlap or exchanging with United's midfielders. In build-up, looks really, really comfortable taking the ball, progressing it. I thought it was a really, really impressive performance. There were times where defensively he maybe got caught out a little bit, which is probably to be expected because he's a very offensive-minded player, likes to progress the ball, likes to play forward. But I think that performance showed me a lot in terms of his proximity to the first team.
Okay.
Because I think United, again, will always benefit from having wing-backs under Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim's mentioned that he needs wing-backs who can provide threat in 1v1 situations, which is definitely something that Mantato can do. And at the moment, we see on the left, it doesn't really seem like there's a clear first choice. I really like Patrick Dorgu, but he's maybe not favoured just at the moment. And I think, if the chance arose for him, I think it would be a really good idea to try Mantato at left wing-back or on the right. The versatility there is another thing that's really going to play into his favour because, the more positions he can play, the more chances he's going to get. Really, really liked what I saw from him.
No, I know you've been raving about him for quite some time, and when I've seen him, he looks an exciting player. Also, sort of fits the mould into that Amorim system, doesn't it? Playing in sort of inverted wing backs, if you will. He does like to do that, doesn't he, Ruben Amorim? Going back to his sporting days, Mantato looks like someone who could potentially do that role for United and Amorim in the first team. So I'll be keeping an eye on him, and it's good to see him progressing and doing the things that you'd expect him to do. Any more in this game?
Just mention quickly Shea Lacey. Of course. Started on the right wing in this game and was kind of his usual exciting, high quality self. Really, really exciting performance. Obviously, there's been a bit of momentum gathering around him at the moment in terms of his proximity to the first team. Some reports that he's really, really impressing in training. Coaches are taking a liking to him and an opportunity could be on the horizon. Obviously, one thing to note is that both Ahmad and Mbeumo will be out of action during AFCON over the winter. And I think we'll be looking for players who can play on the right, and Shea Lacey, I wouldn't be surprised if he was one of the ones kind of pushed into that. We know how much talent he's got, and we also know that he struggled with a lot of injuries in the last couple of years, and if it weren't for those injuries, the feeling is that he would absolutely be in and around the first team setup and probably would have at least a few appearances under his belt at this point. But the timing I don't think matters too much because he's now finding fitness, he's finding form, and I think an opportunity, could be on the horizon. You never know with Ruben Amorim, super high pressure at the moment. There's a lot of toxicity and kind of expectations around the setup, so it's not easy to integrate a young player at the moment. But he's definitely one of the ones that I hope can get an opportunity. And then lastly, I'd just mention Jace Fitzgerald as well, who, similar to Shea Lacey, very, very highly rated. They were both really prominent in the England youth setup at kind of under 15 to under 17 levels, but have both struggled with injuries. He's been finding form and fitness this season. Really, really positive performances in the midfield. He plays with a lot of kind of composure. He's got legs, he can make the defensive interceptions and he really puts a shift in, but also so much quality carrying the ball, spraying it wide to the wings, and he was able to match up with Lincoln's physicality in the midfield, which was very encouraging to see. Really a lot of encouraging individual performances despite the result, and hopefully the first team coaches and higher ups at the club are keeping tabs on what the under 21s are doing, because at some point in the season we're definitely going to have to lean on the academy.
Yeah, definitely. So there's positives there, isn't there? There's a lot of positives. It's interesting what you're saying as well about Shea Lacey, the fact that when AFCON kicks in, you actually think he could be an option for Ruben Amorim, because that would be an interesting one to see. Obviously, this is a kid who's been so highly regarded for so long, and you mentioned there about the injuries, which is the only reason we've not seen probably any of him in the first team. But so, yeah, I'll look out for that. When is AFCON? Is it January?
Yeah, January to December.
January, so that might
December to January.
Yeah, that might work out well for Shea Lacey if he can keep himself fit. There was another under-21s game.
Yep, Friday the 3rd in the PL2, United against Everton. United going into this in terms of the PL2 with a 100% win record, a little bit like the under-18s before the Manchester derby, which I think the less said the better about that. But yeah, really positive start to the season for the under-21s for the most part. It was a very kind of cagey affair. Weather conditions, obviously over the weekend, very, very stormy, so not necessarily the pinnacle of football being played, but United will be happy with the result. Eventually came away from the game with a 2-1 victory. So early in the game, United got off to a great start, and it was Jack Fletcher, who interestingly, another player being kind of played out of position, he started this game at left back. So with the absence of Harry Amas obviously on loan at Sheffield Wednesday and Diego Leon kind of being called upon more intermittently, Jack Fletcher and Mantato have both been kind of called upon at left back, and to be honest I think it works for him. He's not as mobile as Mantato in terms of bombing up and down the wing, but he's got such a wand of a left foot that he kind of makes it work. He's almost like a quarterback, providing creativity from deep areas, and he's got the vision for it too, as well as being able to kind of drive into the midfield when he needs to. So he got United off to a great start with the opening goal. Biancheri laid the ball off to him kind of just on the edge of the box in the centre. He drove forward, smashed it while in full stride into the top right corner with his left foot. Really, really lovely goal, and that was 1-0 United.
It's interesting because me and you saw on camera about sort of ex-players and the sons, and you worry about sort of nepotism, or is there going to be any sort of, are they in there on merit? There's no doubt at all that someone like Jack Fletcher is in that team because of just how good he is. Yeah,
absolutely. You see it week in, week out with his performances, as well as Tyler, his brother. Slightly different players, but both have so much to offer, and United really, really benefit from having them both in the team. Definitely no chance of nepotism. It was actually said that Darren Fletcher had kind of been offered the under 18 job in previous seasons, but he was reluctant to take it because there would be worries about nepotism.
That's a good shout out from Darren Fletcher, isn't it? Because
I think it shows a bit of awareness.
Yeah, and you don't want like teammates thinking, some of the Jack and Tyler's teammates thinking, are they getting the nod, or is he sort of going easier on them, or even going the other way and going harder on them because of his sons? You've got to have that balance. So it all makes sense, and good to see Jack doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, very cagey affair. United weren't able to play their best kind of free-flowing football, and Everton were able to find an equaliser just before half-time. A really direct cross from the left, finding the head of Amari Benjamin, who flicked it on with his head from close range. Not much United could have really done. So level going into the break, and eventually Jace Fitzgerald came up with the goods. He's been playing really well recently. Again, good performance against Lincoln, and was positive against Everton. And it was a kind of weird, unconventional finish off his knee after a little bit of chaos in the box, but you'll take them. United came away with the 2-1 victory. Not too much to talk about just because of how kind of cagey the game was, but Travis Binion's team continue that perfect start to the season, 6 wins from 6, which is just really positive to see.
It's what you want to see, exemplary, and some good performances obviously amongst that. Under 18s,
yes,
it's a bit of a difficult one, isn't it, for you? Because despite your best efforts, it's almost impossible to get footage of this.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one. The game wasn't broadcast. I think something to do with clashes to do with the Premier League games on that day. Very frustrating, but is what it is. United faced Middlesbrough in the PL Cup. The previous game in this competition was against Brighton, which Darren Fletcher's side won 4-0. And I think, more broadly speaking, this is going to be one of the best opportunities for United to potentially win silverware at under 18 level this season. I think we've seen that based on how young this side is and maybe how inexperienced they are, they might struggle to really push to the end of the season in the league with how strong City are. We saw them lose the derby a couple of weeks ago, which, to be fair, they started very well, going 2-0 ahead. But yeah, I think this competition, other teams might not be taking it as seriously. United have so much quality, I think could be one to keep an eye on. But yeah, came away with a 2-0 victory. Brace from Samuel Lusail, who I think has been quite impressive this season. With me, Lusail is a player that offers so much threat. He's absolutely rapid, got a lot of quality on the ball. Sometimes the final ball is a little bit frustrating with him. I think that's something that he might need to refine going on, but he's still young, developing really well, and really good to see him get a brace here. And yeah, I think this is the first week in a long time where we're not talking about JJ Gabriel doing something ridiculous.
I was waiting for the JJ Gabriel clip to be doing the rounds on social media, or to some sort of, for him to be trending. It didn't happen, which is a bit of a rarity, like you say, for most weeks. But there are some other good players in that team. It is worth mentioning. Yeah. It's not just the JJ Gabriel 11. There's a lot of other very, very talented youngsters in there. So in many ways, it's almost refreshing. It's not just about this one player who, we hope he does stay at United. Might not even beat United in the future, but there's some other talent there as well.
Absolutely. And just to mention, he turns 15 this week, which is just mental considering how much he's already done at under 18 level. So happy birthday to him for this week. But yeah, definitely some other good players worth mentioning too. So yeah, but that's pretty much it.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks a lot, Finn. Always a pleasure chatting to you. Go and check out Finn, Academy Scoop, on all his socials. He talks about and covers all the Academy games and other footballing opinion as well. He's always got a good eye on what's going on with the first team, how the Academy is helping the first team, and whether we've got enough Academy graduates in that first team. He's always getting involved in those discussions, so make sure you check him out. You know where to find me. That's been Finn. I've been Jay. This has been Academy Review. Thanks for watching.